Hey y'all, hey. This is CocoDryps. Thanks for joining me for midday trending and hot topics. What's going on, guys? How you doing? How you doing? We got a lot of juicy things to get into. I especially want to talk about some of this Diddy drama that's going on. Tita, I see you trying to come up. It says you need to connect your mic before I can add you to the panel. So connect your mic, Tita. Let me see. Y'all give me 1 second. We'll get started. Hey Andaria, how you doing? Glad to see you. Okay. I, um I totally understand you being in the bushes, honey. Just glad that you're here with us. I've been trying to actually get on live with you guys probably for the past hour. So I was wrapping up some things at work that I wanted to get done before I jumped on this live. So anyway, without further ado, first thing we're gonna start talking about is Diddy, honey, because there have been some developments in the Diddy case, and we need to get caught up. So let me share my screen and let's get into. Oh, hold on. Let me see what's going on over here. Let's get into some of the new developments that have transpired since this morning. Uh, uh, okay. Sorry about that, guys. I had got a call. Okay, so yeah, let's get into this Diddy T real quick. All right. So this article says federal investigators are reportedly preparing to possibly bring witnesses in front of a grand jury in Diddy's case. Let me see here. It says, according to CNN, two sources familiar with the probe shared that federal investigators are preparing to bring accusers of Diddy in front of a grand jury, guys. It says potential witnesses have been notified by investigators that they could possibly be brought in to testify in front of a federal grand jury in NYC. Since last November, the mogul has been named in 8 lawsuits, 7 of those accusing him of SA. Oh, okay. Let me add you guys to the stage real quick. Hey guys, welcome to the stage, Andaria and Tita. Thanks for
Hey, dear. Hey, Coco. I'm
thanks for
happy to be
let's get into this video right here first. Let me see if it's gonna play for me. I might have to refresh the page real quick. Okay, here we go.
Good morning, Kate. So, this is obviously the biggest escalation since those March raids on Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. We are now hearing that federal investigators are preparing to possibly bring witnesses in front of a federal grand jury in New York City. What we have heard is that possible witnesses have been notified that they could be called to testify. Now, sources do caution that investigators are still in the process of gathering information. In fact, they are still calling in new witnesses, and they have called in some witnesses multiple times. We also hear that the majority of the accusers who have filed these civil lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs have been brought in for questioning. And again, some of them being called in numerous times. We hear that many are cooperating and even handing.
Elizabeth, what more are you learning?
Over evidence that they feel could be relevant into this federal probe. Now, a spokesperson for Homeland Security did not respond to our request for comment about the presence of a grand jury, but they did confirm that this investigation is presently ongoing.
Elizabeth, what are you learning about the evidence that investigators could be reviewing here?
So, as I mentioned, those federal raids that were conducted on his homes back in March, obviously, a lot of people wondering what was seized. Well, we are learning now that federal investigators are in possession of video footage that was taken inside of Combs's residence. We hear that these investigators have been contacting individuals that they have seen on this footage. One person, in addition to the accusers who have filed these civil suits, is a male sex worker. That is what a source tells me, and that they have been brought in for questioning through the over evidence that they feel could be relevant into federal investigators. Now, when the raids first happened, we had a law enforcement source tell us at CNN that the investigation was largely based in sex trafficking, which is what HSI specializes in. Now we are hearing that that scope has been widened and that investigators are really looking into all of these claims put forth in these civil lawsuits. That would include not just sex trafficking, but also money laundering and illegal drugs. I have a source who tells me, quote, this is much bigger than just these lawsuits.
Ooh.
Federal investigators. Now, when the raids.
So, oh my God, wouldn't it be crazy if the indictment actually really came into play because of a male sex worker that was SA'd? That would really blow this case wide open.
Yes. And I am just anxious to see the all the indictments and the secret of the videos and everybody that, they've been torturing all this time, that's been suffering in silence and stuff. I need everybody to get their justice for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so much going on. Like just me cruising the IG streets and YouTube, like just the story of Justin Bieber coming out after his response and all the stuff that they got on that boy. Like that boy still going through torture right now with him, with Diddy not even being in contact with him. But just imagine how Cassie was staying away or being gone all along and then just not coming out with it. How long it would took somebody else to come out and say something if she did.
Right. She's really been the real whistleblower in this whole case. So I'm pretty sure that they would be calling her to the stand as a witness as well. So I was able to find another article that TMZ had posted this morning. And it says a new bombshell report from Rolling Stone suggests Diddy has apparently been a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character over the years. Either a super nice guy or allegedly violent and vicious. So let's go on over to TMZ, because it says more info in the bio. So you know you got to go to that page and check out this story. Here we go. So let's see what they're talking about over here. Okay, Diddy, an alleged Jekyll and Hyde new bombshell report. So it says Diddy has apparently been a. Can you guys see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you guys could see. Hold on one second. Okay, cool. It says Diddy has apparently been a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character over the years, either a super nice guy or allegedly violent and vicious. This, according to a new bombshell report. Rolling Stone just published a sprawling article about the embattled rap mogul, detailing his life story and rise to fame starting in the 1990s, now coinciding with his current federal criminal investigation, which could land Diddy behind bars for a long time. And when they say could land him behind jars, I think it's almost inevitable at this point. Um so let's see what it says. During their 6-month investigation, RS reporters reached out to 300 plus people in Diddy's world and interviewed over 50 former friends, acquaintances, employees, artists, and industry insiders. Many of them refused to talk, but those who did had quite a bit to say. Oh, Diddy. Several sources, including close associates of Diddy's from his bad boy days, claim to Rolling Stone, he has a dark side and could be a menacing figure. That's desperately seeking acceptance, admiration, while demanding public displays of devotion from others and splashy donations. Interesting. The Rolling Stone piece details several instances of either alleged outright violence or fits of rage, which the outlet reports goes all the way back to his days as a Howard U student. Wow. One alleged anecdote details a time in which Diddy gets accused of pummeling a record label executive who started dating his ex, the late Kim Porter, whom he's alleged of abusing in this piece. He's also accused of not ever letting her really move on throughout what's described as a tumultuous and toxic relationship. Other women Diddy has dated are also mentioned in the story, including Jennifer Lopez, who Rolling Stone reports was subjected to bad boy staffers trying to convey a message to her via Diddy after they split in an attempt to win her back. Apparently, Diddy sent those BB workers to TRL Studios to stand outside with signs begging her to get back with Puffy at the time. I wonder what he did to J-Lo. Not only that, but according to Rolling Stone, Diddy made advantages to his female employees and other female associates acquaintances throughout his reign. One woman claims he'd approach her boss to solicit her for eggs. In yet another alleged instance, he's accused of attacking a woman at Bad Boy's offices, which required employees to bust in and tear him away from the woman. Wow. There's a lot more in this piece, including claims that Diddy was jealous of Tupac's relationship with Biggie Smalls and that he wanted the spotlight after Biggie's death. Several Bad Boy Associates employees are described as hating the dude behind his back. I bet. Despite all these ugly episodes that are described in the article, there are positive sides of Diddy that are also touched on. Bottom line, Diddy allegedly runs really hot or really cold. It's almost giving bipolar, to be honest. Um, of
Jack,
course, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tita.
the real Jackal and Hyde for real. That's
Right.
what it smell like.
Of course, the backdrop here is the fact that a grand jury has now been convened and witnesses are being contacted to potentially testify ahead a possible indictment. Despite his mounting legal challenges, Diddy has denied most of the wrongdoing alleged against him. Yeah, but we know, we have seen how he has denied and then got, we've seen otherwise. So
And he can't keep everybody quiet. He cannot keep everybody quiet. Some people is going to slip through the crevices and testify because of their hurt, their pain, their years of being not heard and still going through the trauma, of not being heard. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a lot of people in pain out there, and hurt people for real.
yes, indeed. Okay, so we're gonna move on over to this Rolling Stones article because it seems like that's where all the juice is. Um, let's see, VTab on StreamYard. Okay, here we are. Let me see. Has anybody else joined? No, it looks like it's just us for right now, but let's get into this tea, y'all. Okay. So it says Bad Boys for Life, Sean Combs, History of Violence. For decades, Sean Diddy Combs was hip hop's boisterous showman. Now, dozens of former friends, employees, and bad boy artists allege an abusive, menacing figure behind the facade. Um, As he took the stage at the BET Awards on June 2022 to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award, Sean Diddy Combs was elated. Yeah, 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 he bellowed, punctuating his words with triumphant jumps. The adoring crowd, who gave him a sustained standing ovation, including his mother and children, longtime friends, and music industry peers Kanye West, Janelle Monáe, Babyface, and Lil Wayne. After 3 decades of relentless hustling that took him from hungry teenage intern to A&R executive, producer, label, impresario, respected fashion designer, and household brand name, Diddy has seemingly reached the apotheosis of his career. He closed his eyes and repeatedly thanked God. He got down on one knee and praised his mother. He name checked a laundry list of people who mentored and inspired him. Anything I do is through love, Combs proclaimed early in a 9-minute speech. That's what I evolved to be, and that's what I'm doing right now. But soon, Combs struck a more somber tone. I was in a dark place for a few years, he said. I gotta give a special thank you to the people that was really there for me. He listed friends and advisors. Then, looking directly into the camera, he added, Cassie, for holding me down in the dark times, love. He raised one hand to make an L sign and held his gaze steady, silently for several seconds. Combs and Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a former singer for his iconic Bad Boy record label, had split 4 years earlier, he had been openly pining for her ever since. He posted photos of her online and urged her to listen to Michael Jackson's the lady in my life. He publicly congratulated her on her first pregnancy with her husband. His comments at the awards show were part of a pattern of behavior, one that had been tormenting Ventura for years. When she learned of her ex's latest remarks, sources say Ventura was distressed. She was also resolute. Almost 18 months later, in November 2023, Ventura sued Combs, claiming he held her in a violent form of sexual servitude throughout their relationship and R-worded her upon their final breakup in 2018. She invoked Combs' BET speech in her filing for Miss Ventura. The dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. She said Combs' brutal beatings, one of them captured in a harrowing hotel surveillance video obtained by CNN in May, left her with bruises, bursted lips, black eyes, and extensive trauma. See, he messed up when he shouted her out at that awards ceremony. He probably was better off not even mentioning her name because it seems like it triggered her. And as a result of that, here we are. But let me continue. For Grammy winning songwriter Tiffany Red, a friend of Ventura's who worked closely with the singer during the height of the alleged abuse, Combs' words from the BET stage had been a taunt. It's like harassment, she explains. You're still effing with her. Leave her alone. Leave her the F alone. In the 5 years after her breakup, so we know she probably gonna be one of the ones that testify. um in the 5 years after her breakup with Combs, Ventura remained silent. While he was posting about her pregnancy in 2019, she was negotiating in distress behind the scenes to escape her bad boy contract, Red says. Despite Ventura signing a 10-album deal, oh wow, in 2006, Bad Boy only released one studio album by her. Combs was allegedly trying to tie her separation agreement to a non-disparagement clause. It's not like we were negotiating with her with just her record label, Red says. We were negotiating with her abuser. Through her lawyer, Ventura declined to speak for this article. Combs did not respond to a request for comment on this allegation. At some point, ooh, and shout out to Rolling Stones for this tea. Fair use, fair use. Getting back to the article. At some point, Ventura checked herself into a rehabilitation center to deal with the physical and psychological repercussions of her time with Combs and found renewed purpose in being a mom, her lawsuit says. When she eventually gathered her strength and stepped forward, a flurry of other lawsuits followed. 5 more women have since accused Combs of R-word and violent SA dating as far back as 1990. Two of whom claimed that Combs secretly recorded their sexual encounters and showed the footage to others without their consent. Music producer Rodney Little Rod Jones also sued, alleging Combs groped his genitals and forced him to solicit sex workers and perform sex acts to the pleasure of Mr. Combs. While Combs would eventually take responsibility for the assault captured on surveillance video, he has vehemently denied all the other allegations against him. The day Ventura filed her complaint, he blasted it as a shakedown based on outrageous lies. For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Mrs. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail, his lawyer, Ben Braffman, said. In response, Ventura's lawyer, Douglas Wigdor, said Combs offered Miss Ventura 8 figures to silence her and prevent the filing of this lawsuit. The parties came to an undisclosed settlement within 24 hours of Ventura's filing. When his fourth R-word accuser sued in December, Combs, 54, issued another passionate denial. Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. You know what that reminds me of? Bill Clinton, when he was like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And then turned out he did. Anyway, back to the article. For many, the lurid allegations against Combs were jarring, in part because he had risen to such great heights as a bankable bon vivant who threw the best parties from New York City to the Hamptons to Hollywood. He's a pop culture stalwart who walked under a parasol held by his campy, valiant Farnsworth Bentley in St. Tropez and turned up at a Met Gala in a Swarovski crystal encrusted tuxedo and floor-length cape. He rapped about Bentleys and Benjamins and held court as his over-the-top annual white parties attended by Leonardo DiCaprio, Beyonce, Mariah Carey, and Martha Stewart. He called himself the Great Gatsby and considered circus showman P.T. Barnum his muse. I bet you they all wish they hadn't been a part of those parties now. But anyway, getting back to the article, it says, now the spotlight Combs constantly chased is trained on his alleged crimes. In staggering scenes that underscored his fall from grace, heavily armed Homeland Security agents stormed his sprawling Los Angeles and Miami estates as part of a federal sex trafficking investigation on March the 25th. That was my birthday. Investigators tore through his offices and bedrooms, leaving cables dangling from a command center and multiple safes wide open. 3 gleaming Grammys and an Oscar sat atop a gutted console like relics of a crumbling regime. A crestfallen Combs was later seen alone, a cell phone hanging useless in his hands as he slowly paced around Miami Upalaka Airport. His vacation in the Bahamas was canceled, his once fortified homes breached, his adult sons handcuffed, and his empire on the brink. While the raids made global headlines, the silence from Combs' famous friends was palpable. Palpable. Sorry. This felt different than before, when he could use a checkbook, a high-powered attorney, and a media blitz to overcome scrapes with the law. when his charisma, influence, and connections would allow him to shake off allegations of violence or outcry from his disenfranchised artists. Reparations is getting closer and closer, former Bad Boy artist Mace said a day after the raids. The big payback. Over the past 6 months, Rolling Stone conducted dozens of interviews with Combs' former friends, acquaintances, employees, and bad boy artists, as well as industry insiders. Out of 300 plus people contacted for this investigation, more than 50 were willing to speak about their experiences. Several would do so only off the record, citing a fear of retribution. Some requested compensation in exchange for their stories. Rolling Stones does not pay for interviews. Many declined to participate, wanting to distance themselves from Combs. I'm trying to leave that part of my life behind me, says one former employee. Those who did speak about Combs described a complicated man with opposing personas. Outwardly, they see a tastemaker who is unapologetically driven, generous, and jovial, even silly at times. He can be the same privately, but associates who got close enough to him discovered something darker behind the facade, a menacing figure who desperately wants to be accepted and admired, who uses public declarations of devotion, splashy donations, and boasts that he is brother love to hide an undercurrent of alleged abuse and violence that, in one previously unreported allegation, traces back to before his career even started. Combs, wielding his growing power to bend people to his will, sources claim sending staffers to win back one-time girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, beating a label executive bloody after he became romantically involved with Combs' ex-partner Kim Porter, and allegedly trying to solicit sex from a woman on his payroll. As part of this investigation, Rolling Stone sent Combs a detailed list of questions about the new and pending allegations. He did not specifically address any of them. Mr. Combs cannot comment on settled litigation, will not comment on pending litigation, and cannot address every allegation picked up by the press from any source, no matter how unreliable, his lawyer Jonathan Davis tells Rolling Stone. We are aware that the proper authorities are conducting a thorough investigation and therefore have confidence any important issues will be addressed in a proper forum where the rules distinguish facts from fiction. Joy Dickerson Neal, who is suing Combs for SA, tells Rolling Stone that her decision to come forward isn't about money. It's about making sure the world sees that this man who rose to the level of an icon is actually sick and has left so many victims in the wake of his unpunished, disgusting behavior for years. For Ventura, Combs presented as her flashy, established 37-year-old label boss when he pulled her into a bathroom and forcibly kissed her on her 21st birthday in 2007, leaving her in tears, according to her complaint. She says he was holding the keys to her nascent music career when he pressured her to consume drugs and have sex that same year. Combs quickly became deeply entrenched in every aspect of her life, paying for her apartment, having her medical records sent directly to him, and lashing out for perceived slights, the lawyer says. When Ventura tried to move on and had a brief romantic relationship with musician Kid Cudi in 2011. Combs allegedly beat her. Combs later told Ventura he planned to blow up the rapper's car in his driveway, the lawsuit claims. In a statement to the New York Times in November, Cudi confirmed that his car exploded. This is all true, he said. In her suit, Ventura says she learned to blindly submit to Combs to avoid vicious beatings. Eventually, her lawsuit claims the abuse extended to sex trafficking, with Combs ordering her to slather herself in oil, get high and drunk, and have intercourse with male sex workers while Combs pleasured himself and filmed the interactions, which he dubbed freak-offs. She learned to disassociate during these horrific encounters, she says. The public got a disturbing window into Combs' treatment of Ventura in the surveillance video unearthed by CNN. In it, a towel-clad Combs is seen pursuing a barefoot and fleeing Ventura after he'd allegedly punched her in the face during a freak-off in a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. At an elevator bank, Combs throws Ventura to the floor, kicks her, stomps on her, and attempts to drag her back to the room before grabbing what appears to be a vase off a table and hurling it in her direction. Ventura describes the incident in her lawsuit and alleges that Combs paid the hotel $50,000 to obtain the footage. Wow. After years in silence and darkness, I am finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships, Ventura said in a statement accompanying her lawsuit. This was an opportunity to speak up about the trauma I have experienced and that I will be recovering from for the rest of my life. As Ventura's damning allegations were on the verge of going public, Combs was strategizing, according to Jones, who produced multiple songs on Combs' Grammy-nominated 2023 release, the Love album Off the Grid. He detailed how he planned to leverage his relationship with celebrity pastor Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact on his public image. I was wondering how and why him and Bishop T.D. Jakes had a relationship, but that makes sense. Getting back to the article, Jones wrote in a sworn declaration in April, Jakes did not reply to a request for comment. Publicly, Combs seemingly jumped into overdrive, producing positive press. He fulfilled his 1 million promises to his alma mater, Howard University, and the football program at another historically black college, Jackson State University. He launched Empower Global, an e-commerce platform for black entrepreneurs, and in dropping his new album, proclaimed he was in his love era. He announced that he was giving bad boy artists and songwriters their publishing rights back. Only some artists say they were offered rights back, and Danity Kane's Aubrey O'Day said she refused because her offer came with a mandatory non-disclosure agreement. A year before her breakup with Combs, Ventura conceptualized a short film titled Cassie that appears telling in hindsight. In a voiceover speaking about the film's fictionalized romance, she says, "How do you just walk away from it and escape it? I just want to be free." Let me come back over here and hey guys. Oh wow, I didn't know that all you guys are here. Hi Candy Coded Conversations. Welcome to the conversation. Hi Cassandra. Thanks for joining us, guys. Um, just really quickly, Tita or Andiria, did you guys have anything that you wanted to offer before I get back into this Rolling Stones article?
What people don't realize is that signing contracts and you have something illegal to disclose, then that means that the contract of non-disclosures become invalid. And I think that's a way that you can actually disclose or tell the police, because that's legal, right?
Right. Absolutely. Once um it is proven that there was illegal activity, the non-disclosure agreements become null and void. So yes, you're absolutely right.
And then
um
one more thing is, my kids, one of them played a saxophone, one of them dance around here and want to be a rapper. But because of Diddy and this whole situation, I mean, I don't want them to even step foot or have sight in the music industry no more. I don't care how much money it could possibly bring, because I'm like afraid of the damage that'll happen to them, or them being made to do something that they don't want to do just for the fame. And that's how a lot of, I didn't realize that a lot of the people that I grew up praising, because I'm just like you. I was born in 79, but I was, listening to all these people in the 80s without knowing exactly what they was going through, and that just
right.
breaks me.
Cassandra said they didn't know at that time though. She also said they only found out recently that those non-disclosure agreements were null and void. That's the sad part. Um
Right.
they
That's the
probably
terrifying part about it, though,
they
because
probably would have been said something.
yeah, they would have been said something. They wouldn't have waited all this time to be not even to be able to do what they love as far as sing and dance, act, and all this other stuff. When you got a whole powerful as one town, Hollywood, that's controlling every aspect of your life or your career, and you not even to do what you most passionate about. Just like Indira is saying about her kids playing instruments. I done played instruments since I was in 7th grade.
Mm.
So for me to look at it at the same sense as I listen to all these artists all this time, you know what I'm saying? Not as much as admire them, but you know what I'm saying? Like shit, I could do that too. You know what I'm saying? So for her kids to want to be playing in playing the instruments or being the back band for these artists and all this other stuff, and to see this going on, it's very much heartbreaking. But I wouldn't I wouldn't so much discourage it right now with everything going on. It's just we got to find out everything first before you let your kids go through the shit again. You know what I'm saying? Or to be subject to any of this and not know what's gonna happen to them.
And unfortunately, it's just hard conversations that we gotta have with our children, just like we do, our black sons when they go out into the world and they in their car and they run up on a police officer. It's just hard conversations that have to be had, with our children, especially the ones that do want to be in the spotlight, do want to be superstars, do have star quality. Um, yeah. So let me get back to this article. This is long and juicy, y'all, but we gonna get through it. All right. So it says Puff is out here acting crazy. He's beating her. The hotel security footage prompted horrified reactions around the world. Forced to acknowledge his actions, Combs made a rare admission of guilt, but tailored it to that incident. I was effed up. I hit rock bottom, and I make no excuses. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. He claimed he went to therapy and rehab and was truly sorry. Ventoria's lawyer said Combs' apology showed his pathetic desperation. Many who watched the footage of the assault were stunned. Excuse me, even those who'd known Combs for years. LaJoyce Brookshire, a former publicity executive at Bad Boys, said she was disturbed to learn that these types of actions could have occurred and that Puffy could stand in my face the next day with a straight face. That shakes me to my core. Several women who attended Howard with Combs, however, had seen signs of a controlling and abusive personality decades ago. Combs started at the esteemed college in the fall of 1987 and quickly earned a reputation for throwing legendary rowdy parties. Flamboyant and boisterous, he was often seen driving his convertible around campus and passing out flyers. Though he left after his sophomore year, Combs turned Howard into a pipeline for his enterprises, teaming up with future label execs and producers Harvey Pierre, Mark Pitts, and Derek D. Angeletti, all key figures in Bad Boy's early success. Shantae Page, a former A&R executive for Universal Motown Record Group, was among those who say they had positive experiences with Combs at Howard, calling his iconic parties a once in a lifetime type of vibe. He was a go getter from the start, she says, always in the know. But other women described previously unreported incidents involving unwanted touching and fits of rage. One woman says she kept as far away as possible after Combs caressed her back without warning and asked if she would be willing to meet one of his friends. Another former student recalled that Combs flew off the handle after she objected to him cutting a cafeteria line. While the moments may seem small, they show flashes of danger that would soon explode. A third former student recalls how the future mogul would tap on the window of an English class to get a girlfriend to ditch. The visits became noticeably unwelcome. The classmate tells Rolling Stone she would tense up when Combs appeared. The student who sat next to the woman in class recalls he just had a weird controlling thing. I felt like she was fearful. The classmate who an who requested to be anonymous because I'm messing that word up due to a fear of retribution says her concerns were validated when Combs appeared outside the school's Harriet Tubman quadrangle dorm and started screaming in a belligerent manner for his girlfriend to come outside. The classmate says other women soon began running through the halls, knocking on doors in panic. They were sounding the alarm that Combs, known then by his nickname Puff, was attacking the young woman outside, she recalls. Puff is out here acting crazy. He's beating her, the fellow student says, according to the classmate. He screamed and hollered and acted a stone cold fool until she came downstairs. Another Howard student who witnessed the alleged attack tells Rolling Stone. She says Combs used what appeared to be a belt. Oh my God. To strike the young woman all over the place. Speaking on the condition of anonymity, I got it out. Due to the sensitive nature of the incident, the witness said Combs appeared super angry and was screaming at the top of his lungs. She says he whooped her butt, like really whooped her butt. The witness says the woman was clearly terrorized. She was trying to defend herself a little bit. She was crying, and we were telling him, "Get off of her." We were screaming for her, A third source also recalled the alleged assault to Rolling Stones. The woman at the center of the alleged attack declined comment. Wow. I wonder if she declined comment because she's planning on suing his ass. Anyway, back to the article. Combs was born with a short fuse, telling Jet magazine. He earned his nickname as a kid because he would always huff and puff when he got mad. I had a temper. That's why my friends started calling me Puffy, he said. His mom, Janice, a former kindergarten teacher, described him as a ham. Combs barely knew his father, Melvin, a handsome drug dealer working for a Harlem kingpin. He was unalived in 1972 at the age of 33 when Combs was just a toddler. Throughout the years, Combs mourned the loss of a father figure, but Melvin had a profound influence on him nonetheless. Even if we don't know our parents, we still have their DNA in us. We have their genes, Combs has said. I have his hustler's mentality, his hustler spirit, his drive, his determination, his swag. When Janice moved the family from Harlem to the suburb of Mount Vernon, 12 miles north, Combs straddled desperate worlds. In one, he was a defensive back on the football team at his all boys Catholic high school. In other, he rode a train to the city, immersing himself in its burgeoning hip hop scene. I didn't know exactly what he would do, but he was blasting me out of the house with his mixing kit I bought him when he was 13, making that noise, scratching those records, Janice told Vibe in 1993. After a taste of celebrity at Howard, Combs itched for more. He was hell bent on breaking into the music industry, simultaneously attending college and working a part time internship at Uptown Records back in New York City. It was Uptown artist Heavy D, a neighbor in Mount Vernon, who brokered the job interview after Combs repeatedly badgered the rapper at their local pizza spot. Former Uptown and RVP Kurt Woodley tells Rolling Stone. Combs commuted from Howard for the job, evading the train fare by hiding from the conductor in the bathroom. He dropped out of school to work at Uptown full time, eventually becoming CEO Andre Harrell's mentee. Andre Harrell's mentee.
Told y'all he had something to do with Heavy D too. I told y'all that.
Um. Okay. Combs' ascent at Uptown is by now part of his lore. He helped newcomers Mary J. Blige and Jodeci go multi-platinum after reshaping their images. He reinvented the remix and ushered hip-hop soul into the cultural lexicon. He threw exclusive Daddy's House parties at the since shuttered Manhattan hip hop club Red Zone that even his older Uptown colleagues jockeyed to attend. He had the ability to convince people that whatever he was doing or whatever he was, or no, whatever he was doing or wherever he was, that was the hot shit. Damn Sharnes, author of The Big Payback, The History of the Business of Hip Hop, tells Rolling Stone. He understood more than anyone how the innovations of hip hop, specifically sampling and using classic rap records as the basis for R&B songs, would be really powerful for a generation. As Combs' star was rising in Uptown, his predatory instincts resurfaced, according to the SA lawsuit filed by Joy Dickerson Neal. last November. Dickerson Neal acted opposite Combs in a 1990 music video and, and received what she considered a warning from Bronx rapper Sister Soldier to keep her distance given his infamous reputation. Sister Soldier did not reply to a request for comment. Wow. Dickerson Neal says she reluctantly agreed to a dinner date with Combs in January 1991 while she was a college student paying for her studies with a restaurant job. Wary of being alone with him, she requested they dine where she worked. She alleges Combs spiked her drink when she used the restroom and later pressured her into taking a hit off a blunt. She says her legs went rubbery a short time later and that Combs R-worded her at a nearby residence. She also claims Combs filmed the attack and showed the video to others like a trophy. Through a rap, Combs declined the allegations at the time. This 32-year-old this 32-year-old story is made up and not credible. Mr. Combs never assaulted her. Combs' lawyer have moved to dismiss portions of the lawsuit, claiming the allegations false, offensive, and salacious. Mike Nice Lewis, who worked with Dickerson Neal at the short-lived PMD Records, tells Rolling Stone that she confided in him at the office about the alleged SA in the early 1990s. Combs and Bad Boy came up in conversation, and Lewis says Dickerson Neal's demeanor abruptly changed. Lewis claims Dickerson Neal told him that she had a very bad sexual experience with Combs, keeping her head down as she talked. I believe Joy, he said. I just knew from what she was telling me that it still affected her, even 2 years later, adds Michelle Caola, attorney for Dickerson Neal, and another accuser, Crystal McKinney. The amount of irreparable harm to my clients' mental health and professional lives cannot be overstated. Within hours of Dickerson Neal filing her complaint, another woman sued Combs for her R word. Lisa Gardner claimed she was 16 in 1990 when she and a friend met Combs and uptown singer-songwriter Aaron Hall at an MCA Records event in Manhattan. Gardner alleges the men were very flirtatious and handsy, feeding the girls drinks and inviting them to Hall's residence for an after party. She alleges Combs offered her more alcohol at Hall's home in New Jersey and forced her into sex despite her protests. While she was still shocked and traumatized, trying to get dressed, Hall allegedly barged into the room, pinned her down, and R-worded her, too. Gardner claims an irate Combs later showed up where she was staying and began choking her until she almost passed out. Combs feared the woman would tell his girlfriend what he and Hall had done, the lawsuit claims. Combs' legal team denied Gardner's allegations, calling them a money grab, but another woman who says she was with Gardner the night of the alleged attack corroborated many details of Gardner's lawsuit in a sworn affidavit filed in mid-May. The woman, who is the younger sister of the friend mentioned in Gardner's complaint, said she has a photo of herself with Gardner and Hall from the evening in question. She recalled frantically looking around Hall's apartment for her sister and Gardner after they disappeared with Combs and Hall. The then 15-year-old said she walked into a room and saw a man watching whatever Puffy was doing to Liza. The woman wrote that she awoke the next morning at a different location where an upset gardener said Combs had just shown up there and choked her. Hall did not respond to a request for comment. I bet he didn't. Back in the Uptown office, Combs' inflated ego, outsized opinions, and Machiavellian scheming were becoming a problem for his peers. He went from internally divisive to openly controversial in December 1991, when he and Heavy D helped organize a celebrity charity basketball game at City College of New York that left 9 people unalived, alleged 15 to 28, and dozens injured in a stampede. Combs shrieked responsibility, claiming he had tried to enlist help from the NYPD and that he had personally administered CPR to several people. I don't believe that. But an incident report ordered by then Mayor David Dinkins faulted him for allowing inexperienced underlings to handle the event planning and found that reckless over promotion had drawn too many people without tickets to the event. I'm sorry, did somebody want to say something?
Yeah, I bet when he was giving them CPR, he was drugging them at the same time,
Yeah.
hoping they didn't make it to tell what he done.
Living in Beaumont said that's when they should have gotten him counseling. Yeah, back then.
Because my kids got anger problems now, and I hurry up and get them counseling so they won't be treated as just a troublemaker or someone with just anger issues, like a throwaway kid or whatnot. So when the teachers or I see signs here, I hurry up and get them counseling and have them work through their anger issues, and have them handle their emotions in a different way, because I can't have 4 black men, entering this society and blowing up on women or men to that exact.
That is so true. Instead of giving him a nickname as Puff, when he was 5 years old, displaying, these actions, they should have gotten him some counseling, or maybe if his mom had gave him some good butt whippings or something, some sort of punishment, instead of
naming him Puff, huh?
Yeah.
I don't even think that's a true story that she named him Puff. He just had to make up something to make it seem like something else. Because hell, it might be the puffiness of his ass, you know what I'm saying, that made him name himself Puff. Because I don't even see none of that. Even I just seen the other video of his ex security guard saying that he slapped his mama or something. I sent it to you earlier.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like what the hell? Like, that man don't have no respect for women on down to his mama. So whatever his mama did to him when he was a younger kid, and if she did name him Puffy, it's basically her fault.
Yep.
And then I'm sorry, Coco. I just want to say, listen. So I was reading. I was looking at YouTube or whatnot, and it was a psychologist on YouTube telling how things are, and excuse me if I say this word wrong, hereditary, like passed down through the parents, right? And they said it goes so far as if you didn't even know your parents, just things that your parents have done, including beating on women, it can be hereditary, passed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like I really never thought about that, because I thought that actions couldn't get passed down, but wow, that just blew my mind. So
No, because
Maybe,
then it make you look at a sense Andaria like with Kashawn going through what she went through her whole pregnancy. You know what I'm saying? Then later on, you know what I'm saying, God forbid that Junior end up being anything like his mama or his daddy when it come to popping off and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I I I don't know as far as the actions, like you saying, the actions being hereditary, but as far as mental states and health conditions, yeah.
yeah, got it. Yeah,
And
yeah,
and when it's not hereditary, some of them are generational curses.
Yeah, they visually see it though. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, the little kids seeing they parent getting beat up or abused or whatever, and then later on down the line, he don't know which side was right. You know what I'm saying? Was my mom right? Was my daddy right? And then he go off and do the same thing, just on his mind state of what's right and what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? And nobody really talking to their kids like we had the conversation earlier with Candy, as far as staying in a relationship, but for the sake of the kids, when you do more damage to the kids by them visually seeing the stuff or seeing your hurt or seeing anything, you know what I'm saying? Kids are sponges. So, you know what I'm saying? They're
Right.
going to pick up on your emotions, your words, just like the little girl cussing out the police. She didn't learn all them cuss words to hold back certain curse words and all that stuff from not seeing the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
people just
right.
gotta watch what they do around their kids and what you let your kids watch. Because that's the main influence that's going on right now, especially with this damn internet.
Facts.
That's so true. That is so true. But it's so funny because, I think that child is definitely a product of her environment because um my daughter, in expressing herself, sometimes she'll be like, "Mom, can I cuss?" Like, she knows that it's not right. She knows that, it's not something that I'm okay with her doing. So, if we were in a situation like that, her first thought is not going to be to cuss the police out. You dig what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, Jarrell, you would do anything that somebody else is telling you to do when you're drugged, when you're under their control. Your parents are being threatened. Your life is being threatened. Everybody's being threatened. You ain't got no escape. You done tried to escape plenty of times. So the only thing you can do is comply. You comply with doing these things because you are the victim. I don't know why people get the victim is somebody that they contribute to they victimize. That's crazy.
Hi, Jarrell, and welcome to the conversation. I just wanted to say I have heard some things about Cassie as well, her being complicit in the abuse of Hey Go Butter and in the abuse of Kim Porter. So there are going to be things that come out about Cassie, but that doesn't take away from the fact that she too was a victim. So I'm going to get back to this article, guys. With the city investigating possible criminal charges, lawsuits mounting, and rivals pushing Harrell to cut Combs loose, the Uptown executive urged Combs to lie low. A terrified Combs spent months held up in a Manhattan hotel with his mother, according to Kirk Burroughs, Bad Boys co-founding partner and president. Burroughs was fired from Bad Boys in 1997. In 2003, he sued Combs for allegedly threatening him with a baseball bat and coercing him into signing over his stake in the company. His claims were dismissed as beyond the statute of limitations. After the controversy subsided and Combs returned to Uptown, he still considered himself Harrell's heir apparent, but his access to his mentor was restricted. He spent much of 1992 producing Blige's landmark debut, Was the 411, gaining redemption in the album's acclaim. Around this time, he founded his own uptown imprint, Bad Boy Entertainment, where he could sign his own artists and make extra cash. Burroughs remembers jealous uptown execs referring to Combs as Satan and flipping him off as they walked by his small offices in the uptown building. Oh, wow. Harrell soured on him too. As Woodley recalls, Harrell said, I'm gonna fire Puff. He's getting a little bit too big for himself. He's bothering people. With pressure mounting, Harrell fired Combs in July 1993. Uptown was supposed to oversee the album release of Combs' newest signee, Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., but Combs was free to find a new home for his fledgling label. The termination was devastating for Combs, Burroughs says, leaving the 23-year-old crying buckets of tears outside the office. He loved Andre, Burroughs says. He loved Uptown. He didn't understand what Bad Boy was going to be. I cried for a couple days and I felt like I wanted to jump off a building, Combs told Rolling Stones in 1995. I think at times I was hard to work with. You think? Possibly I was doing shit that an asshole would do, just abusing the power. But that was only a little bit of the time.
Yeah, it was a little bit of time until you got full control of every damn body, taping them and blackmailing them.
Okay, so this portion of the article is called The Making of a Mogul. Cast out of Uptown and banned for a tragedy that claimed 9 lives, Combs could have faded into obscurity. But he was scrappy and determined, quickly securing a reported $10 million deal from Arista Records. Clive Davis that kept Bad Boy Entertainment alive. Now he was helming a skeleton crew, eager to turn artists into superstars and cement hip hop as a mainstream genre. While the world did not understand the power of hip hop, I was working I was working in it and watching it unfold, says Michelle Joyce, Bad Boy's first director of marketing. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't if it was going to pop, it was when. It wasn't easy. Hours were brutal, pay was low, and the workload intense. Combs expected his small team to make the impossible possible. Brookshire, the former director of publicity for Arista and Bad Boy, recalls Combs demanding she hire a daredevil to scale a skyscraper to promote the band 112. The next summer, the work paid off with Craig Mack's ubiquitous flavor in your ear and the notorious B.I.G.'s One More Chance. In the next 3 years, Bad Boy would become the premier label for upcoming hip hop and R&B artists, churning out chart-topping albums from Faith Evans, Total, and 112, and soundtracking clubs and radio stations nationwide. And in Wallace, Bad Boy had a budding superstar, Biggie Smalls, the storytelling genius with the effortless flow. He sure did. Still, Combs was volatile. Burroughs says he once saw Combs attacking a woman inside Bad Boy's office in 1994. He and another ex-employee tell Rolling Stone they had to tear Combs off the woman after hearing screams and the sound of shattering glass. The woman declined Rolling Stone's request for comment. Felicia Newsom, the first manager of Bad Boy's recording studio, Daddy's House, says she once held Combs back when he was about to beat his girl's ass after a fight broke out between two women. I'm holding him by his waist, saying, "You need to calm down. This is not your fight," Newsom recalls. Former Arista intern April Lampros claims Combs turned violent with her too. In a lawsuit filed in May, Lampros alleges Combs attacked her in a parking garage in the mid 1990s, forcing her to her knees to perform oral sex. It was one of four horrific SAs she says she endured during her on-off relationship with Combs. As Bad Boy was on the rise, staffers kept Combs' transgressions quiet, whether out of loyalty, fear, or a belief that such incidents were rare. Outwardly, he was the label's unceasing hype man, ad-libbing on tracks and making cameos in his artist videos. It was clear he wanted something bigger for himself. I distinctly remember the day that Clive Davis called and asked me to start garnering press for Puffy, just as if he were the artist, says Brookshire. Behind his back, I used to call him my problem child, the notorious VIP. That's funny. Combs got all of the press he wanted when he and his LA counterpart, Death Row Records boss Marion Suge Knight, became entangled in a years-long heavyweight hip-hop fight. The pair had once been friendly. Combs even modeled Bad Boy after Death Row. He told Rolling Stone in 1997, but the subsequent rivalry between Biggie and Knight's charismatic superstar Tupac Shakur would turn into a Pyrrhic victory for both labels. Combs was fond of Shakur, admiring his ability to marry street credibility with mainstream appeal. Burroughs notes that the Bad Boy team spent the summer of 1993 studying the rapper's buoyant hit I Get Around as a blueprint for a commercial hip hop record. Desperate to be taken seriously, Combs tried to foster friendship, but Shakur wasn't interested. Pac didn't have any kind of respect for Puff, says 90, 90s hip hop photographer Monique Bunn, who was close with Wallace and other Bad Boy artists. To Shakur and even Wallace, Bunn says Combs was a corny executive. Instead, Shakur bonded with Wallace, whom he viewed as his peer. Burroughs remembered. As a result, he says, referring to Combs, there was someone on the sidelines jealous. The friendship would be short-lived. After Shakur was ambushed and shot 5 times in the lobby of Quad Studios in the Times Square in 1994, he blamed Combs and the Bad Boys crew for setting him up, which Combs has always denied. From there, everything got blown out of proportion, Bunn says. Bad Boys Bad Boy execs started encouraging Wallace to write certain songs. Burroughs says, despite the rapper not feeling so beefy with his former friend, with tensions frothing, Combs released Wallace's single, Who Shot Ya, in 1995. It was widely viewed as a sneering provocation aimed at Shakur through Wallace, um, though Wallace was adamant it wasn't. Shakur responded with the ferocious hit 'em up, pushing hostilities to their peak. Perhaps seeing a promotional play, Combs stoked the East Coast West Coast rivalry. The two labels, the two label heads traded jabs with Knight cast as the intimidating, cigar chomping, gang affiliated boss, and Combs the slick, clean cut executive. When a 25-year-old Shakur was unalived in September 1996 in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. Um, Knight immediately pointed the finger at Combs, who denied involvement. Some Bad Boy employees received personal unalived threats soon after. I didn't recall reading in the employee manual that dodging bullets was part of my job description, Brookshire says. Last September, Compton Crips gang member Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was charged with Shakur's unalivement. His trial is set to begin in November. Davis has claimed Combs offered $1 million for a hit on Shakur. Combs vehemently denies the claim. 6 months after Shakur's unalivement in March 1997, Wallace, 24, was attending a Soul Train Music Award after party in Los Angeles when a gunman opened fire on his GMC Suburban, unaliving him. Police considered the homicide an unsolved act of retaliation. Multiple reports allege Wallace had been preparing to leave Bad Boy shortly before his unalivement. It didn't help that Combs had been fighting with Wallace's attorneys, who were trying to wrest back the rapper's publishing rights. I will never give it up until I'm unalive and my bones are crushed into powder, Combs told the lawyers, according to the big the big payback. Biggie was absolutely about to leave, Puff, Bun says. I know for a fact because he told me that. Another source adds. Everybody wanted to leave Puffy. Everybody leaves him. Combs capitalized on the shock and sorrow over Wallace's unalivement. Brookshire, who had been traveling in the same SUV as Wallace during press events the day before he was unalived, says Combs denied her request for time off to process her grief. Instead, just 2 weeks after the slaying, she says, Combs ordered her to focus all efforts on Wallace's upcoming album, Life After Death. Combs demanded it be number one, number one, number one, number one, number one, top 10, top 10, top 10, she recalls. It sold nearly 700,000 copies in its first week. When Rolling Stone approached Bad Boys about a cover opportunity a few months after Biggie's unalivement, Burroughs claims he advocated for the late rapper to take the spot. I was telling Sean, let's make it Biggie. You still have a chance for a cover in the future. Burroughs recalls. He's like, no, he's unalive. I'm putting out Combs' debut album, No Way Out, in July. I need to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. Combs got his cover, and 2 years later, he acknowledged how Biggie's unalivement had been big business. I think his passing added to the fame, Combs told Rolling Stone in 1999. Wow, that was disrespectful for him to say.
Very disrespectful.
At at least 2 million of the nearly 5 million copies of No Way Out were sold due to his death. Straight up. And that doesn't necessarily feel good, but that's the reality. He is a cold blooded Negro. And I'm going to leave it at that. Even Death Row's fearsome boss, who's currently serving a 28-year manslaughter sentence, has been labeled a boogeyman of hip hop, said Combs' behavior was distasteful. When Pac left, I didn't pick up a microphone. Knight said on his prison podcast, I picked up the pieces. Then this third section of the article it says people did whatever he said to stay in his good graces. In the late 1990s, fans regularly gathered outside the Diddy's house studio in Midtown Manhattan, angling to see a famous face or pass along a mixtape. We had built this machine, the hottest hip hop label in the world, and people started to jockey to get next to Puffy, Joyce says. As the new millennium dawned, hip hop entered its bling era. With, with Combs and his artists mining the melodies of 1980s pop songs to guarantee commercial hits. They wore matching shiny suits, spit raps about designer socks and yachts, draped themselves in diamonds, and filled their big budget videos with fawning women and bombastic pyrotechnics. The label was thriving off of Biggie's legacy and bolstered by rising stars Mace Shine and Black Rob. Combs won Grammys and was nominated for his work with outside artists Mariah Carey and R. Kelly. He entered the upper echelons of New York society, partying with Revlon billionaire Ron Perlman and Donald Trump. There was a certain narcissism, an attitude of objectifying not just women, but all people, and wanting to be with other men who enjoyed moving people around like chess pieces, Sharnaz says of Combs, adding that he was the standard bearer for hip hop as capitalism and a social mobility play. Becoming a dominant force in the industry only seemed to amplify Combs' bullying behavior. In April 1999, he barged into the office of Interscope Records executive Steve Stout and allegedly turned violent. Combs that was furious that Stout didn't cut him from a crucifixion scene in a Nas music video before sending it to MTV. He punched me in the face and then he grabbed the phone and bashed me in the head with it, Stout recounted to the LA Times. Wow. Combs privately settled with Stout, reportedly for $500,000 and dodged a 7-year prison sentence by pleading to a reduced charge of harassment. That summer, Combs released his second album, Forever. The album's critical and commercial failure is sold less than half what its predecessors did, hardly diminish Combs' rare star power. You know, after this lawsuit, he should have been canceled. But I guess that there was no such thing as cancel culture back then. We weren't even we didn't even have social media. Uh, I guess at that point, really.
Right, the only thing they could do is what they was doing behind the scenes is shit, just blackballing them. You know what I'm saying? We just didn't ever get no more CDs from them.
Right. Um, a few months later, in December, Combs was arrested after a nightclub shooting in in which 3 people were injured. Excuse me. His newest star shine, aka Jamal Michael Barrow, was convicted of firing the shots and sentenced to 10 years. Barrow was deported to Belize upon his 2009 release. Combs, meanwhile, was charged with weapons possession and attempted bribery after he and then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez fled the shooting in a Lincoln Navigator that reportedly ran 11 red lights. Wow. Combs was facing up to 15 years in prison if convicted. Kevin Rogers Francis, a host at Combs' restaurant, Justin's, who did marketing work for Combs' short-lived magazine Notorious, recalls the mogul scrambling for money, shuttering the magazine, and hitting the restaurant's drawers for cash and what Francis presumed was an effort to cover hefty legal bills. The prosecutor claimed Combs offered cash to witnesses after some said Combs was the power. Victim Natania Natanya Rubin has been adamant that Combs fired a bullet that tore through her nose. Combs' own driver testified that Combs offered him $50,000 using a $40,000 pinky ring as collateral. He would say he owned the unlicensed pow pow found in the SUV. Others have claimed Combs paid as much as $1 million to Barrow through an intermediary to buy his silence. Barrow denies the claim to Rolling Stone, calling it ridiculous misinformation. After a 6-week trial, Combs was acquitted in March 2001. With his mounting scandals, a tabloid relationship with Lopez, and the popularity of his Sean John clothing line, which launched in 1998, Combs entered the pop culture stratosphere. It became a point of pride to work for Bad Boys, says former employee Flash Rodriguez. It was it wasn't just a company, it was a lifestyle. But Combs was difficult to work for. Employees who wanted to stick around had to learn how to speak puffy. Brookshire and multiple sources say a demanding boss, Combs often yelled to get his point across and fired employees on a whim. No one on his team at Bad Boys spoke bad to him. Former Daddy's House studio manager Newsom says no one challenged him. Another source recalls Mace, whose real name is Mason Betha, calling Combs massive behind his back. Betha did not reply to a request for comment. He was so volatile, says a source who sometimes worked with Bad Boy. He's always on the edge of snapping and being scary. People did whatever he said to stay in his good graces, and Puffy exploited people's desires to be in those environments. I'm going to take a break there so we can have a conversation. He sounds like a monster. I wouldn't have wanted to work for him. That's
Yep,
crazy.
and oh, okay, go ahead, Sheila.
Oh, I'm done. Go ahead, Andaria.
So, like what I was saying in the chat, Biggie was worth more to Puffy dead than alive. Once he found out that he wanted to leave him, allegedly, you know what I'm saying. So, stars and producers, or record companies, alone places, oh my god, insurance on these artists' life. So then they have the insurance money, because it's owed to them, for the, for the albums and things like that. Then they have the royalties, and then they have just the, just the, all the things that comes along with that. So he was worth more dead to him than alive. And I wouldn't have wanted to work with anybody that's like that at all. So, I, like I said, my heart goes out to everybody that was had to endure this
He
man.
even crossed his path. Shit. Anybody that crossed his path, because even with Biggie wanting to leave, right? It ain't even no saying of what he was wanting to leave for. It probably wasn't even about money. It was about the monstrous shit that he was doing. And you know what I'm saying? You got this grown man sucking you off. People done caught you. Then you got other people getting unalived, and they was friends and all this other stuff. And then he getting offered all this money to come to other record labels. So, you know what I'm saying? He definitely didn't want Biggie to be going nowhere else where he could tell what the hell he had been doing to them. So
Exactly.
he definitely had to go in and do something on them, put a hit on them, you know what I'm saying? So It definitely wasn't probably about the money that he would have made. It was what was going to come out then.
And then I believe Keefy D, as far as him setting him up to for that hit on Tupac, because again, Tupac would have been a first one to expose him, just like he did when he got shot 5 times. He said it to Puffy face, like, you the one that did this to me. And Puffy was like, oh, I didn't have nothing to do with you, to do with that shooting and all this crap. But he felt it. He know he has something to do with it. And when he was interviewed, he told the whole New York to that Tupac was in the studio and to that he didn't want him to leave. Period. I heard it. So back then,
Wow.
so
right, he was trying to get to him. You know what I'm saying? To act like, oh, this my buddy. Let me go holler at him the whole time. No,
Whole time he was setting them up.
Exactly.
Yep. Hey, Heavy on the Sky said, Coco, I know you tired of reading this encyclopedia of Diddy.
I know, right? I just laughed. Okay, so now we have reached the 4th section. Why is nobody saying anything? Are they that scared of him?
Why look, the girl, what was that? Cassie best friend or whatever. When she said the person that got hung over the doggone balcony was a female, you know what I'm saying?
I was
And
done
everybody was
then,
questioning why she didn't help. She like, what the hell I'm supposed to do? And
Right.
he hanging one of our friends over the balcony. So this is how much power this man got, that it ain't even no 5 people could jump you. You got you got all these security guards that's protecting this man. You got all these people protecting this man. He more protected than you are, and you in the arms of a predator.
Right. It's crazy.
So I don't see how people can't see why these people couldn't get away from him, or why they couldn't say nothing. And power is power. Y'all ain't gonna know it until you got it. That's why he misusing his shit. He found out he could do all this shit and get away with it for all these years.
And what? We're talking about 30 years?
30 years.
30 years of trauma.
And another thing, he let Sean take the fall, and this should be a eyes opener for everybody out there. The lady said over and over and over again that Puffy was the one that shot me, and she like, he had control over the police department, the detectives, the FBI.
Yeah.
The judge, everybody, and they did not put Puffy in jail, even though an eyewitness said it to his face, pointed him out, and said he's the one that did it. He didn't do it. So that leads me to beg the question: what Sean's gonna do about this when he get out and he see all of this exposed, and whatever deal that he made with Puffy, whatever paperwork he signed or whatnot, that deal should be null and void, because
he already out. He's
he
in his
out.
country and doing this thing, and Puffy gave his country all this money. So you know what I'm saying? He been out. But what I'm saying is, even with that, so he got charged with it'll be like me for Shine. I'll be like, send his ass back to jail for lying. You know what I'm saying? Since you actually let this man go on for 30 years doing this shit. Well, it ain't 30 years for that, because when that happened in 97, 99 or whatever. But all them 10 years that you did, you got to do some more of them. Just for lying and letting this shit go on. Because if he would have spoke up then, they would have been able to stop him. So I'll penalize his ass again, for real though.
Facts.
But I thought that Shine denied that he did it. He didn't. He said he did it.
No, he took the rap for it. Yes, he sat down for it. He went on and admitted to it, but he said after the lady kept being adamant about who did it, he said he didn't ever say I didn't do it, that Puffy did it. He just said the lady already told y'all who did it. I just took the fault.
Oh, okay. I'm hip. All right,
So
y'all.
basically, he went in there and basically pleaded the fifth to whatever, you know what I'm saying? They probably locked him up on that. Or whatever the case may be. Or him holding the gun or having his fingerprints on the gun, something that had to be to the evidence where they could have charged him with it without him actually saying, I did it or I didn't do it.
Right. Ciao. Just like Heavy said, ciao. All
Never
right,
could have
y'all.
been me.
We making some traction. We getting close. I'm gonna try and get through this whole article with you guys before we wrap up. But anyway, so why is nobody saying anything? Are they that scared of him? So let's get into it, y'all. After Combs' acquittal in the nightclub pow-powing in 2001, he reportedly headed straight to church. That's just, really. He later made a less God-fearing visit to the Peninsula Hotel, where he was throwing a massive bash to celebrate the verdict. It was there that Anna, a freelance graphic designer working with Bad Boy's marketing team, says Combs approached her and began to massage her shoulders. The woman requested a pseudonym, citing fear of retribution. I'm getting touched on my shoulder, my arms, my back. He's like, oh yeah, you like that? I know you like that. Like, really, really gross. Anna recalls, sharing her story publicly for the first time. I was like, no, not so much. And I sort of floated my way out of there. Anna says she avoided Combs the rest of the night. Weeks later, her boss's girlfriend confided that Combs allegedly approached the boss the night of the party to solicit me for eggs. Anna says a friend confirmed to Rolling Stone that Anna told her about both the encounter and the proposed arrangements when they began working together a few years later. The boss did not return Rolling Stone's request for an interview, and the girlfriend declined to speak. I felt quite unsettled about this for many years. When people ask me about my days at Bad Boys, it's just overshadowed by his crap, Anna says, adding that Combs treated her as though she existed to accommodate his whims. Combs often flaunted his actual encounters, even if underage artists were around to see. A teenage usher briefly lived at Combs' New York house in the early 90s as a young Bad Boy protege. Puff introduced me to a totally different set of shit. Sex specifically, Usher recalled to Rolling Stone in 2004. There was always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen. And just think, he was seeing all of that as a teenager. That's crazy. I'll never understand why his mama was okay with that. But anyway, back to this article. Casey Sheridan, a member of the teenage girl band Dream, recalls the group being summoned for a meeting with Combs to a Beverly Hills hotel bungalow when she was 15 and awkwardly eyeing a purse and a pair of high heels by the front door as the group waited. After 20 minutes, a bathrobe Combs emerged from a nearby room. It's like you can't even keep your innocence. I'm 15, walking into this situation knowing exactly what he was doing next door, Sheridan says. Oh my goodness. Feeding off his fame and power, Combs appeared to be pushing his most sickening impulses even further. Model Crystal McKinney was photographed during a star-studded Sean John fashion show in February 2003. Hours later, according to her recent lawsuit, Combs said she was acting too uptight and pressured her to take a hit from a lace joint. She alleges that he then forced her to perform oral eggs on him despite her resistance. The night sent McKinney into a tailspin of anxiety and depression that she says resulted in a suicide attempt, an unalivement attempt. I had a whole future in modeling mapped out, and that was stolen from me. Being sexually assaulted and having no recourse is so painful, McKinney tells Rolling Stone. I felt like I was dying every day because I did not yet have the strength to come forward. I hope that by speaking out, I can help other survivors come forward and seek justice. Not long after being the spring and fall of 2003, a 17-year-old girl was out one night with friends at a Detroit area lounge when a man in a suit approached and allegedly introduced himself as Combs' best friend. The man purportedly called Combs and let the girl speak directly with the famed producer, who was twice her age. The man, alleged to be former Bad Boy president Harvey Pierre, convinced the girl to board a private jet and take the 2-hour flight to Teterboro, New Jersey, just outside New York City, to meet Combs in person. According to a lawsuit filed last December by the girl, now an adult Jane Doe plaintiff, then a high school junior, she was awestruck by the opportunity, documenting the trip with photos from inside Daddy's house, where she's seen pretending to record a song, pointing at Combs' initials on the wall and sitting on Combs' lap. Wow. The photos were included in the lawsuit to corroborate the woman's allegations that she was gang R-worded that night by Pierre Combs and a third unidentified man inside the recording studio. I wonder if it was Aaron Hall. The woman claims the men plied her with drugs and alcohol until she was nearly unconscious and unable to consent. As she started to black out, she claims Combs led her to a bathroom where he removed her skirt and underwear and blanked her from behind. As she drifted in and out, the unnamed assailant replaced Combs and R-worded her from behind as Combs. Watch, she says. The woman alleges Pierre replaced the second man and R-worded her too. When the men finished, she fell into a fetal position on the floor in excruciating pain and was later escorted out of the building and flown back to Michigan, she claims. This is so sad. Combs' lawyer filed a motion to dismiss, calling Doe's account a decades-old tale, a baseless claim in an effort to extract an undeserved financial recovery. Pierre did not reply to a request for comment, but previously called the accusation fiction and a desperate attempt for financial gain. Drugs were a consistent part of Combs' life. Ventura alleges in her lawsuit, claiming he was addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy frequently. She claims he had pills and other drugs out in the open like candy, and that he would supply alcohol, ecstasy, cocaine, the sedative GHB, ketamine, and marijuana during freak-offs. But far from enhancing a party vibe, Ventura and others say these substances only darkened his mood. Once Combs got drunk or high enough, says one frequent party guest in the early 2000s, he would turn violent and loud. He would take his anger out on people. At several points, when Combs was extremely intoxicated, Ventura alleges he beat her. An industry source says they once left a party at Combs' home because they felt so uncomfortable watching an aggressive Combs yell at Ventura throughout the night. You could tell in her eyes that she's scared, they said. I'm like, is this normal? Am I tripping right now? Why is nobody saying anything? Are they scared of him? In a 2015 appearance on the Breakfast Club radio show, Combs described the deal he offers his girlfriends. If I'm in a relationship with you, 25% of your time, you're going to just feel like, oh man, I hate being here. This guy cheated on me. He lied on me. Combs explained while sitting next to his teenage cousin, Christian. But then there's 75% of I'm gonna make you the happiest woman in the whole wide world. I'm gonna be there to support your dreams. I'm gonna be there to hold you, listen to you. I'm gonna be there to be your best friend, and I promise you'll smile the most. You'll know who I am. This is what it is. Which deal would you choose? There was one term of the deal Combs never disclosed, sources say. The women who signed up for it were not allowed to walk away. Damian Vasquez, a former Bad Boy intern, says after Combs and Lopez broke up, Combs had staffers camped outside MTV's TRL studios with signs to win her back. Ventura claimed that every time she hid, Combs' network of operatives found her and implored her to return, including a Bad Boy executive who threatened to withhold the release of her music if she didn't return Combs' calls. After Ventura left Combs, he tried to paint a picture of a heartbroken, hurt man. A source who knew the couple throughout their relationship says, when the reality was, he's a liar and abuser. Burroughs believes Combs' losses at a young age, especially the unalivement of his father, took a toll on his relationships. He is fortified now with the money and the power, but abandonment and the act of leaving can bring about vicious results, he says, and the women catch it the worst. Combs' long-term partner, Kim Porter, who who um who passed away of labor pneumonia in 2018, was no exception. Their relationship was tumultuous, according to two sources who claimed Combs physically abused her. I remember Kim used to go through a lot of stuff. Former Bad Boy rapper Mark Curry says, if you live around them, you get to see the toxic relationship. I think every relationship he had that I experienced around him was like that. Combs and Porter first got together in 1994 and dated on and off until 2007. She ended it for good upon learning Combs had fathered a secret child while she was pregnant with their twin daughters. There were other infidelities, including Combs' affair with Lopez, but Combs never let Porter truly move on. She told Essence, he still called 50, 60 times a day. She said, it was like my life was not my own. He was very, very intrusive. In 2000, Porter's fledgling courtship with late music executive Shakir Stewart enraged Combs. When the industry gathered for L.A. Reid's wedding in Italy that summer, Combs went to Stewart's room after the ceremony and allegedly broke a chair over Stewart's head. Stewart's mother and two of his close friends telling Rolling Stone. He left him bleeding on a hotel floor in Italy, Stewart's mother, Portia, says. He had to have stitches, and then Combs threatened him. I'm gonna unalive you. That's when I said, you need to get out of this business. This man is crazy. Did anyone have anything to say before we move on to the next?
I think
The next
I
section.
think because he was an ugly child and anybody try to leave him because I don't understand. Like you got the money, you got the power, you could get any woman you want. What's so special about holding on to these is because you done did so much horrific shit to them. You can't
That
let
you
them go.
scared.
Right,
Yeah.
you can't let them go. So as far as like J Lo, like you had her in a whole fucking shooting with you, dude, and she seen somebody take the rap for you. She knew she couldn't be around your ass no more.
Right. It
And you
probably
did
that
all this
probably scared
stalking.
that probably scared the shit out of her. Just
Yeah,
knowing for a fact that he actually did commit that murder.
exactly. And ain't no telling what other stuff she's seen him do in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Or
So,
how he treated her behind closed doors.
well, the other reason that I seen a video of her explaining why she left, and she was like, basically, she couldn't wake up in the middle of the night wondering if her guy was in the room with guys or girls or whatever. And I guess it was so many rumors of him being with guys. She said she didn't want to live that lifestyle.
Oh
So that was
wow.
another reason. She didn't approve of him whatever he was doing with his sex parties.
Wow. So basically she's confirming the bisexuality as well.
Yes, she said
That
men or women. It was just the whole point. Like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, she ain't know where he was at. You know. And then by her hearing the rumors, she was like, I ain't gonna take that chance.
Hi Octavia, welcome to the conversation. Octavia says she hasn't been with a black male since Puffy scared the
No,
shit out of her.
get it out of her. I just can't wait till she start talking. Like, cause she gonna talk. They go subpoena her just for that shooting. You know what I'm saying? And that everybody know that he did it now. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes,
she gonna come out and say something.
she definitely has a story that to tell and one that we all want to hear.
Man,
That's for
everybody
sure.
got a story, and the crazy part of it, how many of them are similar, and how do we determine which ones are worse than the other ones? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like, come on now.
Absolutely.
Even like from her that movie she played in Enough, that was probably a message like, dude, stop contacting me.
Yep.
Like you,
I
if you look
remember
back
that
at
movie too.
yeah, yeah, you look back at that movie, it's got a lot of dark sides to that shit for her to play it, and she played it phenomenally,
She
like
played the hell out of
effortlessly,
that. She played the hell out of that
effortlessly,
character.
like it was too real. So who's to say that wasn't part of her trauma that she had to let it out that way? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay, so the fifth portion of this article, it says I've noticed him kill a lot of people's spirits. So by the mid 2000s, Bad Boy had hemorrhaged several top acts, including Faith Evans, Total, 112, Craig Mack, and Foxy Brown. 2 decades later, nearly all of Combs' artists have left him. Apart from himself, stepson Quincy Jones and son Christian, um, only Janelle Monáe is left on the label. Wow, I didn't know that. A rep for Monet did not reply to a request for comment. Machine Gun Kelly's last track released with Bad Boy was in February 2024. He started his own label, EST 19XX, under Interscope. Rolling Stone reached out to dozens of artists who'd been signed to Bad Boy to ask about their experience with the label. Many declined, with one saying, I don't have anything nice to say when it comes to my time with Bad Boy. It was not a good experience and one I really don't want to relive. Those who did speak to Rolling Stone say they felt their time with the label was squandered through lack of direction. Several spent years at Bad Boy without releasing any music. Wow.
Yeah,
Curry,
he basically ended their careers when they didn't want to comply with him. If they didn't sign them contracts or them NDAs or whatever, he ended their whole life expectancy of their talent. You know what I'm saying? That is
yeah,
terrible. That's
it
terrible
is.
as hell. I couldn't imagine being the only. I couldn't imagine being Stevie Wonder, right? And all I could do is play this fucking piano, right? I'm
Hmm.
blind and everything, and you tell me I can't play this piano no more if I don't fuck you. Like shit,
Right.
baby. That's how he taking advantage of these people. It's like they all blind to whatever the fuck. Everybody got to be blind to whatever that happened to them. As long as you want to be famous.
It's crazy. Um, Curry, who was affiliated with Bad Boy from 1997 to 2006, has been one of the most outspoken detractors, writing about his dealing with Combs in his 2009 book, Dancing with the Devil: How Puff Burned the Bad Boys of Hip Hop. Wow. He says Combs repeatedly promised to produce his solo album but never gave him a budget. There's different ways you can unalive a person, Curry tells Rolling Stones. I've noticed him unalive a lot of people's spirits. Someone's Little Rod said he is this monster. Nothing has changed. This guy got no soul, no duty to anyone, not even his kids. That's scary. Um Not everyone felt the same. Singer-songwriter Kalina Harper says one of the highs of her life was joining Combs' Diddy Dirty Money Group in 2009. She was later invited to work with Combs on the Love album. He was effing cool as shit, she says, adding that artists who blame Combs for the trajectory of their careers may suffer from disgruntled employee syndrome. Years ago, years ago, there were whispers that some bad boy A&R executives would expect exual favors from female artists in exchange for professional attention. I would hear about female artists being asked to do stuff with some of the other male executives, recalls one former bad boy staffer, like, we can make or break your career. What are you going to do about it? Going to HR was useless. If you want your job, you're not going there to complain, they add. On on the Call Her Daddy podcast in 2022, Danity Kane's Aubrey O'Day says she was kicked out of the group because she wasn't willing to do certain things, not talent wise, but in other areas. She refused to get specific, saying the truth was what you can imagine. There was no Me Too, she added. You signed a million NDAs and a million contracts that took away your rights. Asked by Rolling Stone to elaborate, O'Day said, the answer to what happens to you, don't do what the executives want. I'm the full blown effing story of that. Some who left Combs worried he might try to expel them from the industry altogether. Brooklyn rapper Lenice Babs Bunny Wiley of Combs' MTV reality show Making the Band says she was blackballed after leaving the label. Bun, the photographer, claims her gigs instantly dried up after winning a lawsuit against Combs in 2000 for withholding a set of Biggie photos from her. She claims a friend at the Fader magazine told her that Combs personally called the office and said if they work with Bun, Bad Boy will pull its advertising from the magazine. Talk show host Wendy Williams wrote in her 2004 book that Combs spent a lot of money and used a lot of his influence to try to crush me. After she posted an alleged actual photo of Combs and another man on her website. Combs denied it was him in the photo, and music producer Easy Mo B claimed in February that after he challenged Combs over a credit Combs had given himself on the producer's song, he noticed certain people wouldn't deal with me. He's someone you don't want to make an enemy out of, says one former employee of Combs. When people do go against him, that person gets ostracized. For some, the effects of being shunned by Combs were profound. Francesca Spiro joined Bad Boys Entertainment in 1998, rising through the company to become Combs' right-hand woman. But Spiro alleged in an age and disability discrimination lawsuit that Combs illegally fired her in 2010. She claimed Combs froze her out after she took time to recover from a hip surgery and voluntarily checked into rehab to treat a lapse in her sobriety. Spiro tried to continue working in the music industry, but opportunities would disappear, a family member says. The alleged blacklisting led to significant health issues, which brought her to her end, the relative says. She was devastated by the way she was treated. She felt betrayed. Spiro passed away in 2014. As ex Bad Boy president Burroughs puts it, Combs never forgets a grudge. If he sees a snag in a sweater, he'll pull. I'll stop there and let's see. Hey, Witches Brew, thanks for joining. Let's see. Did anybody have anything they wanted to say before I moved on to the next section of the article?
No, go ahead.
Okay. In the sixth part, it says, life ain't always what it seems to be. For Combs' 50th birthday in 2019, revelers gathered at his 17,000 square foot Homely Hills home in black tie attire and beaded gowns, sipping champagne and ice cold Ciroc. The vodka brand Combs Shield for a share of profits. They admired the breathtaking Kerry James Marshall painting that Combs had recently purchased for $21 million. Guests Beyonce and Jay-Z rubbed shoulders with Dr. Dre, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kobe Bryant, Cardi B, Snoop Dogg, Kim Kardashian, Usher, and Post Malone. It was a crowning moment for Combs, a testament to the multifaceted success he had worked so hard to achieve. Combs had conquered fashion, winning Menswear Designer of the Year at the prestigious Council of Fashion Designers of American Awards in 2004, acted on Broadway, became the co-owner of De Leon Tequila, founded the Revolt TV cable network, purchased the sports beverage company Aqua Hydrate with Mark Wahlberg, and filmed a cameo in Disney's 2014 movie Muppets Most Wanted. He even allegedly changed his middle name to Love. With his hard edges seemingly polished away by his gilded life, Combs appeared untouchable. It was all perfect cover for his alleged physical and sexual abuse of Ventura. Ventura says in her lawsuit that there were multiple witnesses to her alleged mistreatment, but they were too afraid to cross Combs. She claims both Combs, head of security, and his assistant began to cry when they saw the extent of her injuries. In an open letter published by Rolling Stones, Ventura's friend Tiffany Red wrote that she was present the night Ventura says she was forced to leave her 2015 surprise birthday party for another freak-off with Combs. Red recalls seeing Ventura back up against a wall with Combs cursing her out. She said Ventura returned later that night, apparently sedated, while Combs screamed at Red, "Tell your girl she wants some birthday D. I flew all the way from Miami. She gonna get this birthday, D. Red wrote that she told a visibly angry Combs to leave Ventura alone. She recalled Combs ignoring her and driving off with Ventura in a golf cart. Combs' physical. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Combs' physical abuse extended to Ventura's inner circle as well, according to her lawsuit. She claims one of her friends obtained a settlement after a physical altercation. Hold on one second, guys. My daughter is up talking to her friends, making all this noise. Um, where was I at? Da, 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 da. Combs' physical abuse extended to Ventura's inner circle. I read that part. I'm just going to start there. Combs' physical abuse extended to Ventura's inner circle as well. According to her lawsuit, she claims one of her friends obtained a settlement after a physical altercation with Combs in 2018. After Ventura's birthday party in 2015, a severely intoxicated Combs allegedly dangled another of Ventura's friends over a 17th floor balcony. Neither friend responded to a request for comment from Rolling Stones. One source who worked with Combs and Ventura says people failed to speak up because Combs doesn't believe in being told no, and if you get caught up in the wrath of that, it can be very dangerous. I'd say he dangling people over balconies like on TV or something. He was crazy.
Yeah, he thought he was shit. I don't know who he thought he was.
Tony Montana.
Right, that's what I was just gonna say. Tony Montana. He
Apple
thought he was
Bone.
Scarface for real. Didn't he do an album with dressed up as Scarface, y'all? Who was that
Oh,
that did an album cover with half and half, like the Scarface thing?
I don't know.
I want to say it was
I
him
wouldn't be
now. I'm
surprised if
finna
it
look
was
it up.
him, though.
I'm finna look
Um,
it up. Somebody did that cover.
I would not be
uh,
surprised.
that was like his whole little crew, Junior Mafia clique.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
Yep, I think so. They did that cover.
um, in her lawsuit, Ventura says she found the strength to leave for good when Combs allegedly forced his way into her apartment and R-worded her in 2018, the night she met him for dinner to discuss breaking up. She claims she claims Combs pulled off her clothing and assaulted her as she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. A month later, people reported the relationship was over, citing a source who said Ventura was moving on with renewed focus on her career. Though Ventura's alleged hell at the hands of Combs was largely unknown until she filed her complaint, overlapping public claims about Combs' behavior made minor headlines during their decade together. In 2017, Combs was sued for sexual harassment by personal chef Cindy Ruda, Rita, Ruda, in a lawsuit that seemed bizarre at the time, but has gained renewed scrutiny. Ruda claimed that when she worked for Combs in 2015 and part of 2016, he regularly had her serve dishes while he and his guests were engaged in sexual activity. Ruta claimed Combs once asked her to prepare a postcoital meal, then greeted her fully naked and asked if she liked his naked body. One incident in August 2015 allegedly involved Combs ordering Ruta to serve him breakfast in his room and then partaking in sexual activity with model Gina. I don't know how to say her last name. As Ruta dropped the food on a table and fled. The lawsuit was forced into arbitration and ended privately. A lawyer for Ruta did not reply to a request for comment. Hine, I guess that's Hine. I don't know. Hine, meanwhile, re-emerged in 2019 with claims that Combs beat her. In an interview with gossip blogger Tasha K, Hine said she started dating Combs in 2014 and that he offered her $50,000 to terminate a pregnancy that year. Oh, I wish they would just say her first name because I know who they're talking about. Hine, I guess, also said Combs shoved her to the ground and dragged her by her hair in 2018 and in a jealous rage once stomped on her stomach. The allegations barely made a ripple and Hine went silent after the interview. Hine declined to comment for this article. So she would talk to Tasha K, but not to Rolling Stones. That's crazy. But anyway. The Detroit area Jane Doe, who sued Combs and Pierre in December, tells Rolling Stone she hopes her lawsuit will hold not just Combs, but also all of those who acted with him, stood silent and actively covered up his behavior, accountable. In her lawsuit, she said her nightmare was not an isolated incident and pointed to another Jane Doe who sued Pierre on November 21st. That woman alleges Pierre groomed and SA'd her when she was his assistant between 2016 and 2017. Then in early February, Jones, the Love album producer, sued. The 73-page complaint filed by lawyer Tyrone Blackburn, which included unusual elements such as photos of the defendants and redacted names that could easily be deciphered, claimed that Jones worked, traveled, and often lived with Combs while producing 9 songs for the project. Jones described his experience as a hedonistic hellscape. Well, damn. He claimed to have hundreds of hours of footage and audio capturing Combs, his staff, and his guests engaged in serious illegal activity, including the use and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, ketamine, marijuana candy, mushrooms, GHB, and Tucci, a pink powder described as a mixture of ecstasy and cocaine. He claimed that at one party in July 2023, Combs fed him ecstasy-laced liquor until he blacked out and woke up naked next to a sex worker. Oh my God. Jones said Combs terrorized him with constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his backside, and that Combs kept him compliant by displaying weapons, threatened to eat his face. What? And according to the suit, informing Jones that he was willing to unalive his own mother if he must to get what he wanted. Combs' lawyer called the complaint pure fiction. He is this monster. Nothing has changed, Jones told Rolling Stone shortly before filing his lawsuit. This guy got no soul. He has no duty to anyone, not even his kids. Combs' associates, meanwhile, have faced allegations of their own. 25-year-old Brendan Paul, whose Jones described in his lawsuit as Combs' drug mule, was arrested and charged with cocaine possession during the raids on Combs' properties. Paul pleaded not guilty but later accepted a deal in May, agreeing to complete a drug diversion program, after which his case will be dismissed. The deal was offered because Paul is considered a first-time offender and the substance amount allegedly found was not of a trafficking level, a spokesperson for the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office said. In early April, Yacht Stewart Grace Omarsay sued Combs and his 26-year-old son, Christian, alleging that Christian drugged and attacked her on board a luxury vessel rented for a 2023 vacation in St. Martin while filming a scent scrape family reality show for Hulu. According to NBC News, Omarsay can be heard in an audio recording asking Christian to stop touching her legs. She claims Christian later tried to force her to perform oral eggs, allegations he denies through his father's lawyer. Christian Combs' lawyer, Aaron Dyer, did not reply to a request for comment on the allegations, but previously claimed Omarsay's complaint was rife with manufactured lies and irrelevant facts. I believe her. I believe her. And I think this is the final chapter 7. Let's see here. Is this the end? On May 4, Combs posted a video of himself standing by an ocean, staring down a tropical monsoon with his arms outstretched as the recorded voice of his spiritual advisor, T.D. Jakes, booms. Not hysterical, not frantic, not anxious, not fretful, but steady in the storm. While Combs gathers support where he can, the new allegations have reshaped his world. After stepping down from Revolt, he reportedly sold his shares in March. The Harlem charter school he co-founded reportedly cut ties and scrubbed his name from its website. In April, premium liquor giant Diageo revealed it paid approximately $200 million to buy the outstanding 50% share of their De Leon tequila brand from Combs, fully dissolving their partnership. In a 2023 court filing, Diageo said that Combs had amassed nearly $1 billion from their 15-year relationship, and the wave of lawsuits reignited industry beef with Combs' longtime rival, 50 Cent, who was making a documentary about his downfall. Combs is preparing for a fight for his reputation. Well, shoot, his reputation that's dead. That's dead. His legacy and, in some sense, his life. Federal officials declined to say much after the March raids, but a source confirmed to Rolling Stone that investigators in the Southern District of New York interviewed potential witnesses as part of a sex trafficking and racketeering probe. Agents may also examine Combs' alleged ties to the infamous Black Mafia family cartel after the Detroit Jane Doe alleged in her suit that the group is rumored to have seated baby boy. No criminal charges have been announced as a publication. Oh wow, they're trying to tie in BMF into this mess. I know that Big Meech
They
had
ain't gotta try. They ain't gotta try, baby.
I know that Big Meech made a statement saying that that they weren't affiliated, to anything like that. I think he was saying that they just partied together, but that's coming at a bad time because he's like on his way out. You know what I mean? So I hope that this
Mm.
doesn't hurt his chances of being able to actually get out of jail.
Shit, they probably gonna get him to get back out of jail to get some more information since he been to the Diddy parties. Because I'm sure some claims against whatever parties they was at that they was there for them to be mentioning his name at a Diddy party.
Right.
Ain't nobody even know that he knew Diddy.
That part.
All we knew was how we knew about Big Meech was Rick Ross, and they
Right.
all party together. So again,
Yeah. That's a good point.
again. Ain't no telling. He coming out in time to expose the rest of the shit.
Sex trafficking is certainly a potential component of a pattern of racketeering, or it could be charged on its own. Former federal prosecutor Elizabeth Geddes, a member of the team that successfully prosecuted R. Kelly in New York, tells Rolling Stone the indictments of R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, high-profile individuals who long evaded real accountability by law enforcement, offer prosecutors a playbook for a possible prosecution of Sean Combs. Combs is known to sport a gold medallion depicting Lazarus, the biblical figure raised from the dead. And why not? He survived the deadly CCNY tragedy, the shooting that killed his top artist and his club New York criminal trial, and prospered. He named an album No Way Out, but he's always managed to find one. This time may be different. As more accusers and associates emerge with hellish accounts of their time with Combs, as more voices hint that there are darker stories still to be uncovered, he stands exposed in a much harsher light. To some, his claim that his brutal 2016 attack on Cassie represented a rock bottom from which he has since recovered doesn't ring true. One source who knew the former couple says the mogul's rage was always on the verge of creeping out. Rock bottom must be his personality, they say. Damn. I've never not seen this person. Miss Hilton, the mother of Combs' first son, Justin, had been silent in the wake of Ventura's lawsuit, but after the video broke, she responded by saying, "I know exactly how she feels, and through my empathy, it has triggered my own trauma." Hilton declined to comment for this article. It's a long overdue reckoning, says Anna, whose encounter with Combs at the Peninsula Hotel still haunts her. People have been sitting with their experiences for years because you don't know what to do with it. Gardner's friend wrote in her recent affidavit that she wishes she had spoken up then. Raised hell earlier, she watched her friend grapple with the aftermath. This experience completely changed Liza as a person, she wrote. Dickerson Neal, too, says she was forever changed by a single night. One date with Sean Combs led to the trauma and pain of SA and an ocean's depth of shame. She tells Rolling Stone, learning that Combs allegedly distributed an explicit video of her was devastating, and she suffered debilitating self-doubt and a lifetime of inner turmoil. Those who were watching decades ago have long suspected Combs' legacy would end in disgrace. None of this was really a surprise for me, says one of the Howard alums who had knowledge of Combs' attack on a classmate. You're already an abuser in college. You were already feeling you had to have certain power over people, another says. Combs must now face accountability. It's time. In an Instagram post in late May, Ventura expressed gratitude for all the love and support she's received. With a lot of hard work, I am better today, she wrote. But she added, echoing the experience of many of Combs' accusers, I will always be recovering from my past. That was heavy, y'all. It was long and it was heavy. But I'm certainly glad that you guys were here to go through this with me, number one, and be a part of the conversation. Oh, no problem, Andrea. But with that, we've been on here for about 2 hours and 30 minutes. My throat is dry from all this reading, and I need a nice tall glass of water. I thank each and every one of you for coming by today and being a part of the conversation. And
thank you so much.
No problem. And I will see you next time. You guys have a great rest of your day.
You too.
You
See you later.
too.
Bye.
Bye.